Hi YouTube, I'm Steve, personal trainer on the Isle of Man in the United Kingdom, and this is week 5 of my Achilles tendon rupture recovery. It's been a good week. I'm not sure if you've been following the series. If you haven't, it probably makes sense to go back to week 1, which is my first episode, where I was discussing the decision I had to make at the time between going down the operative route or the less invasive non-operative route. If you haven't seen those earlier episodes, it might make sense to click the link here and go back and start from episode 1. If you watched last week, obviously I literally just got back from the hospital. I'd had my cast removed and I was put back in the boot, and I'd had stitches removed and the wound assessed, and I'd also had a full assessment on the tendon, and the surgeon, Mr. Karski, was extremely happy with what he found. So week 5, and it's been a very, very positive week. The only way I could describe this is that it feels like this is the first proper week on the road to recovery. Those initial worries about the tumbles and the falls I'd had, re-rupturing the Achilles. Obviously, once I got the good news from the surgeon that all was well, and I got a protocol to follow for the next 6 weeks while I'm back in the boot. Now I feel like I've got more control. I feel like the reliance upon others to make progress is now minimal, and the recovery is back in my hands, and that's great, because now I feel like as long as I'm vigilant with what I do, as long as I'm very, very cautious about every single step I take, then you know my fate is in my hands again, and that's a nice feeling to have. I won't lie, the time I spent in the cast was horrible because there was no weight bearing, and I was manoeuvring my way about on the crutches, and I felt at any stage like the wrong turn, or if there's a small patch of water on the floor, I could be on my arse and then, obviously run the risk of a re-rupture. Now I'm back in the boot, and within literally 36 hours of being back in the boot, I'm now fully weight bearing without crutches. Now I feel like the risk of re-rupture is minimal, providing the time I spend out of the boot, which is usually when I'm sat on the sofa relaxing and cleaning it and doing my exercises. As long as I'm cautious in that period, the chance of re-rupture while I'm in the boot is pretty much non-existent. And that's a reassuring feeling. It's a nice feeling, and it fills me with positivity. So this week I made a return to the gym. As soon as I could get off the crutches, I needed to start doing things that, for my mental state, provided me with some real positivity. So Monday, I tossed aside the crutches in the morning. I practiced walking around the house, up and down stairs, making sure that I was really comfortable with being fully weight bearing without any support. And then in the afternoon, I got a lift to the gym, and I went in and trained push, which was chest, front and side shoulders, and triceps. And just being back in the gym environment, using upper body muscles, feeling muscles working, getting the circulation flowing. And don't get me wrong, I didn't break any world records in this session. It was just a case of getting back into the swing of things, feeling muscles working, and just doing something positive. I came back from there seriously full of endorphin rush. I'd got the blood flowing. I'd felt feelings that I hadn't felt for 5 or 6 weeks. And when I got home, I was on a high. The very next day, I went and did all the antagonist muscles, so all the pull muscles. I went to the gym and I trained my back, I trained my rear shoulders, and I trained my biceps. And again, that's the full upper body ticked off now in 2 days. And again, I came home and I was full of positivity. The sessions had gone well. I found I hadn't lost as much strength as I thought I might have lost. My muscles filled up nicely while I was training. And again, came back home really, really buoyant and excited in a way. Now today, I'm going to go down today and train my good leg. And this might give me an opportunity just to see where the good leg is at, because obviously it's been very, very inactive compared to how it would normally be. And I'm going to assess how that is. And then I'm going to look around the gym at ways that I could potentially still work the quad on the bad leg. So we've got access to things like bands I could use, I could potentially rig up a banded leg extension to do something there. Maybe a fixed leg adductor, working the legs in a fixed state and coming in. I could do abductor, which is a fixed leg moving out. And I'm just basically looking at ways which are, extremely low risk or no risk ways of training lower body muscles. And that's where I'm at. So, like I say, I'm still in the boot. I've had to purchase a few of these diabetes type socks that go inside the boot so I can rotate them on a regular basis. So I've got 4 of those now that I can just wear for a day, wear for a day, wash. And now I'm back training, and I might be perspiring a little bit more. If I need to, I can obviously change midday as well. Now, the beauty of being back in the boot is it's removable. So a few times a day now, I'm taking the boot off. I'm airing the leg. I'm using this, which has been great, to clean the inner liner of the boot to avoid any nasty odors that might be coming from that. And then what I try and do while I'm airing my leg, I'll put the boot outside if it's dry after I've sprayed it with the Dettol disinfectant spray, and then that's airing the boot as well. Now, I've got a dressing over the wound that I'm not allowed to touch, and that stays on for another week on top of the week I've done. And then I can remove that and then make a decision as to whether recover it with a new dressing or whether it's healed to a level where I can just basically crack on. So that's where I'm at, and I'll show you. So I'm in a position now. So I'll show you here. I'm in a position now where I'm walking pretty much normally up and down. As you can see, I don't feel like I'm limping at all. I've got a good heel to toe roll with my foot. I'm certainly not, my hips feel in alignment, so I'm not putting any undue tension on my pelvis or my glutes. And that's what we're at now. So that's this Saturday. This Saturday will be 3 weeks post-op. So I'm delighted with that. They said it might be 2 weeks before I feel comfortable coming off the crutches, and I was actually 36 hours. So there's no pain whatsoever through my Achilles, and I'm delighted with that. Now, I don't know if you noticed there while I was walking around, but I have, I don't know if you can see that, that's on my good leg, I have a what they call an even up, as you can see that. And basically this is just a rubber frame with a sole on it. And I don't know if you can see the sole, but it also has the option to take out a little bit of height should I need to. Okay, so that's been a fantastic asset with regard to trying to balance my gait as I'm walking. Now, before I bought that, I was getting a little bit of tension in the hips. I was offset a little bit, so my glute was taking more tension. And now, obviously, with the even up, I'm able to walk pretty efficiently. Now, it was expensive. That in UK money, that was about £45, and that's just for one. Obviously, you don't need two, so it wasn't cheap, but it's been worth every penny. And like I say, I've been out of the house every day. I'm able to get around the gym, and I'm not limping now. I'm walking normally, and I've got that to try and keep everything even. Other things that I would recommend, obviously I struggle to wash this leg still because of the boot, and I certainly don't want to risk getting in the shower bootless at the moment. I think that would be a risk that's not worth taking. So what I do when I'm airing my leg, I will use the white version, so the wet wipe version of the Dettol antibacterial stuff, and I'll wipe the whole leg down. Then I'll let that dry, and then I'll put some foot cream on. I've been using this one, which is an organic, nourishing foot cream by Kind Natured. So yeah, I've been using that on my feet, and I've been using a Vino cream on my shins and my calves, around the wound dressing, obviously, just to keep everything in a good way. Because one thing, when you're inside a boot for a lengthy period of time, the skin is affected massively. So I'm trying to keep on top of things so that when I actually come out of the boot in 6 weeks' time, everything is as good as it can be. Okay, now I'll take this boot off and I'll show you where I'm at with regard to the state of play. So obviously, there's the air walker. It's an OSSA air walker. You'll see there's an inner liner which is removable. Your foot goes into that. That comes out, and that, I don't think that can be washed. I'm pretty sure it can't. And that's the pump that pumps the air in round the back to support the Achilles. It's been a really good boot, to be fair. Now, inside the boot, you'll see there's the wedges. Okay, now there's 4 wedges in there. And what I've been told to do, after 2 weeks, I can remove the bottom wedge. So that will put my heel lower in the boot, so I'll have a less degree of plantar flexion. And then 1 week after that, I take another wedge out, another week, another wedge, so that by the end of the 6 weeks, I'll have been 2 weeks in neutral. Okay, and the goal, obviously, in that time is to go through less and less plantar flexion so that the Achilles gradually, week by week, starts to settle into that neutral position. And that's where we're at. Okay, like I say, this is, they call them diabetes socks. They're made to stop you sweating. It's a very, very thin sock that you can wear inside the boot. Now there's my dressing, which has to stay on, for 2 weeks, and then I can clean the wound. Should have knitted together enough so there's no risk of infection. I can clean the wound, and then from there, it's a case of assessing whether it needs another dressing on or just going for it. Okay, so physio exercises that I've been doing. Let me move this to one side. So physio exercises that I've been doing. So there's neutral. Okay, so I've got a reasonable level of dorsiflexion, as in toes towards the body. Okay, now what I try and do is contract the calf, the quadriceps, and then I push down towards plantar flexion there. Now obviously that's contracting the calf. Okay, now as I come back up, I'm very, very careful not to go past neutral. Okay, and that's all I need to do for now. Now another exercise that I found really beneficial is just to paint the alphabet with my toes. So there's A, B, C, D. So what I'm doing there, I'm not just working in a flat plane or a frontal plane. I'm actually working through rotation from both directions, and I'm getting a good amount of movement through that ankle. Okay, now one thing I have progressed to now is from neutral, I'm now doing resisted plantar flexion. And obviously, as you can see there, the calf muscle is firing really, really nicely. Okay, and I'm doing about 10 sets of 10 throughout the day. So I might do 2 sets of 10 together with a break in between. About an hour and a half later, come back and do another 2 sets of 10 with a break in between. And then I'm doing 5 sets of 2 sets from morning through till night. Okay, now showering wise, at night I'm putting on my limbo covering, which is a full block, and I get in the shower in my boot, and that enables me to have a full body wash with the added security of not slipping and falling and potentially re-rupturing the tendon. Okay, so that's where we're at. And again, like I say, I'm not in a position where I am comfortable going to bed without the boot at the moment. That's the hardest part for me, is getting through a night. I worry, because I suffer with cramps quite a lot, and I worry that if I had a bout of cramp in the night, not only would I potentially pull my foot far too quickly into dorsiflexion and potentially re-rupture the tendon there, even worse, God forbid, I had bad enough cramp that I jumped out of bed, then I'd put all my body weight on my leg, half asleep, none the wiser that I've just gone and re-ruptured my Achilles again. So for me, peace of mind, at least for the next 5 weeks, so that'll be with the week on top, that'll be 6 weeks, I'll have done trying to sleep in the boot. And then by that stage, when the doctor gives me the all clear and the green light to go back to a training shoe, I think my Achilles will be strong enough then, and it will be knitted together enough that I can risk going to bed without the boot on. And yes, I might get lucky. I might have a period of 5 or 6 weeks where I haven't had a bout of cramp. But like the surgeon said to me, you get one opportunity really for a really great end product with this operation. And if I do re-rupture at any stage, the second time, the end result is only going to be average at best. So it's just not worth the risk. And yes, I'm not going to lie, some nights I've only had 3-4 hours sleep. It's offset by the fact that I'm waking up in the morning with an Achilles tendon that's still intact. So that's where we're at. Like I say, it's been a positive week. Very, very good to have control back again. And like I say, I've always been diligent with rehab and physio and things like that. So that now I've got some power back, and the surgeon has said, right, over to you. All our work is done now. You just got to be cautious, but be kind of progressive with these things. Then it's great. I'm back in charge, and I can start, hopefully progressing this injury. I have been using the peptides over the last week. I've been using the BPC 157 twice daily, and then a TB 500 injection every other day. Whether they're working or not, it's far too soon to say. I guess we'll only really know when we get to, say, the 3-month mark or 4-month mark. And if I'm ahead of where I should be by that stage, then it may have had a bit of an input. But I'm just trying to cover all the bases. The risk was low. And, for me, it was a no-brainer just to try and do that and get not only a quicker recovery, but also a much stronger and more resilient recovery. So that's where we're at. Okay. So obviously this is week 5. There's probably not a lot going to change in the next week. Hoping to return to work next week. So I may use the knee scooter for that and see where we're at. But that's where we're up to so far. And hope these have been helpful and hope you found them interesting.